Okay, so I'm recording on Twitch right now, but this will obviously be on YouTube because we are recording instead of streaming because they can't get anything to work. Okay, I'm gonna do a quick introduction real quick and then I'll introduce everyone and then we can actually get to the main goal of this video. Hi, my name is Angela Yee. I am the creator of an audio drama called Residents of Persephone Park. We are a mythical podcast focusing on mythological creatures with a story as wild as the past themselves. We are currently crowdfunding for season 3, as you can see on screen. This is our lovely Indiegogo. We have lots of tier options you can choose. And yeah, just look at our lovely reviews. We have a budget breakdown. I swear this is going to be an awesome season, so please check it out. Just go on Indiegogo.com and search Residents of Persephone Park. Now, I have some great friends with me here today who all love mythology as well, and we are going to talk about Hades and main media. I'm just going to go down the list today. We have another angel, Angelie. Angela, you want to say hi?
Hi, I'm Angelie Rafer. I work in comics and illustration, and mythology is my main. So I'm excited to chat about Hades today.
Yes, and then we also have Elise here today.
Oh, sorry. Hi, I'm Elise. I guess I'm just a general nerd, but
all the fandoms. Hey. We're here to talk about fandoms.
Fair.
Yes, and then we have Jermaine or Germ.
Yeah, hi, I'm Germ. I live in the mountains, and that's all you need to know.
Ooh, mysterious. And then, of course, I think you guys all know who this person is, but my script editor, Sarah Menendez, is here today as well.
Woo! Yes, you might also know me as the voice of Dog.
Yes.
AKA the best alien. Give them all the treats. Very excited to be here, obviously. Angela is the best, that's why I work with her so much, and she's not sick of me yet, so you know. I'm gonna ride that train as long as I can.
Stuck with me, Sarah.
Aww. Yay, friendship.
Yes.
Yay, friendship.
Anyways, the reason why we're talking about this is not just because Indiegogo has tiers, and we're also going to make a tier ourselves, but also because we are obviously a mythological podcast, and myths have been adapted many times in main media, specifically Hades. So I do want to do a deep dive into this god and see how these adaptations do it and what we like or dislike about them. One content warning I do want to give, I don't know if you guys can see it, but I did bold it in my itinerary, is content warning, Greek gods suck, so there might be sensitive topics that we discussed today. Even Hades has done some unnice things, despite what some people ignore. So yeah, should I say what
I would? Yeah, I think it would be good to give like an actual trigger warning.
Okay, content warning. I don't know if we will actually talk about these things, but this is Greek mythology, so there may be discussions of incest, sexual violence, bestiality. I don't think Hades does that though.
Surprisingly, no.
Surprisingly not. Yeah.
Surprisingly, no.
Depending on it, like
this
maybe
is
underage
why people like Hades. It's because, like, wow, the bar is so low that, like, oh, this guy doesn't do bestiality. He's great.
I mean,
It's on the
he's in the
floor.
underworld. He's in the underworld, guys.
I mean, his
so.
brother is Zeus.
Yeah, I guess if you compare it like that, it's just like, of course he's on a pedestal. Like, compared to the guy
has
whose
sex
pants
with
is always
anything
down.
that moves is not hard to beat in the unproblematic department.
Unfortunately. But so we are using tiermaker.com. I'm sure you guys have seen this all before. We have a bunch of characters. I also added a bunch of Cerberuses because I
was going to be like, is that
yes, of course, going straight to S.
It is.
That, yeah, no, you stick him in S tier where he belongs. Don't put him down.
I don't know.
But we will get there when we get there because we are going to talk about Hades first, y'all. That's why we're here. I figured we go down the list. I believe this is in release date order. I might be wrong. But it's great to start off with such an amazing movie, which is Hercules from Disney Animation. So it's so funny because I feel like this is one of those where the adaptation is so wrong, but it's so good.
So off mark. Oh wait, you gotta go through the scoring system first.
Oh
And-
yeah. Thank you so much for catching this. Okay, so we do I have it on my video screen as well. There are 5 tiers that we're talking about today. Is accuracy, how accurate is this compared to the actual myths themselves? And then, because I feel like a lot of these won't hit accuracy, we have other scoring methods as character design, you know, how well they are dressed, designed, voice as well we're going to include because we also have Hades Town to discuss today. Likability, like we did mention before, Hades is one of the more likable gods, so how likable are these characters in comparison? And then our 2 lovely extra scoring methods. Is he a dad though? And does he have a doggo? Because these are very important. I feel like they boost likability as well.
They
so
They do.
Absolutely.
very important to note. So back to Hercules, which is owned by Disney. I have references in case we need them, but I feel like everyone knows who this person is. Way off the mark,
Ta-da.
but oh my gosh, what a fun character.
I mean, I guess to me, he's not particularly aesthetic, but he is so funny.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, played by James Woods.
Absolutely not accurate, but he's just fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about character design, Gerald Scarfe did an excellent job. If no one knows who he is, he's actually a British political cartoonist / cartoonist, and he's known for a really kind of energetic style that also has a lot of action and energy, even in just these like static poses. And I do think Gerald also brought a lot of the actor into his initial concept art with the design, and then the animators went ham on it. So I know he's not appealing, but I will say from an artist POV, there's just much of this caricature, and there's a lot of strength and energy in it that it just makes him really funny and fun to watch.
Here's my observation: his fingers look like scalpels. In this,
I think they all kind of do.
They do kind of do.
That's unfortunately a Gerald Scarfe thing. That's not an intentional choice.
Oh,
It's part of his art style.
He's like, Edward Scissorhands, move over. I got Hades knife hands.
Yo.
I will say though, I don't know if it was I feel like it was a very original concept at the time, but the fact that his hair was fire was also like so fun because it was a part of his mood too. Like when he got angry, it would like shoot up and like
that was fun to see.
But I will say, like, his underworld is pretty accurate because there's the River Styx,
oh yeah,
and the souls, and the fates, and it's all dark, and like there's not like a ton of fire, you know, like they didn't go like, oh, Hades is Satan, so fire everywhere. They were just like, yes,
right.
That's a very fair point.
Yes.
So
I would definitely say character design wise, a lot of fun. Accuracy wise, definitely like a 0. I don't even know if he has like, if we're doing a 1 to 5, 5 being the best, 1 being the worst, I feel like it's not even on the scale of accuracy.
I feel like it's one of the worst.
yeah,
but
I mean, the movie overall.
But you know what? Sometimes you don't need that. So,
but this is
who
because
needs to be likable?
that's the honestly, I know there's so many good points with like the music obviously was fantastic, the animation was great, the story, if we just think about it as an original and not about the actual adaptation, was also great. So it's kind of like, likability is insanely high.
I mean, yeah, if you love sleazy car salesmen who get you into shady deals, no credit,
Oh my gosh.
awesome. He'll still take a deal.
No credit, fuck it, ghost credit, we got you.
I mean, I think it was also this was an era when Disney was also like queer coding a lot of villains for their animated films, and I feel like it backfired though because it gave them such like fun personalities instead of like
Ursula.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Ursula, Scar.
I
Ursula,
can never
It's
not
like,
remember
wow,
Ursula
like,
saying body language.
their aesthetic just went off the roof as a child for me. I was like, oh, they're so much more fun. Like, move over the boring streets. Let's discuss.
Yeah. Jafar was also pretty
Get
like
out of
queer
the way.
coding.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, not to date myself, but move, I'm gay, and shut out the way.
Okay, so I feel
It's a
like
vibe.
accuracy was low, character design likability was high. Is he a dad though?
You're
Unfortunately,
like
not.
your sleazy uncle.
Yes.
Absolutely not.
You're
definitely-
like
yeah.
regicide loving uncle.
He do a murder, but he make it fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
He wants
character
that
building.
crown.
Murder uncle.
Murder uncle.
That's what I aspire to be.
The murder uncle.
You want to be
The murder
you wanna
uncle?
be the Claudius in your life.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
you know,
think
we
he
all
did
we all
have
have
a
goals.
doggo, right?
But he does have,
He
oh
does
my
have
gosh.
a doggo, yeah.
Actually, can I show you guys? I know this is much later when we do Cerberus ranking, but I just want to show. I don't remember Cerberus being this. I don't know if you guys can see super clearly.
That's
Let me try
from,
to zoom in.
Video
This
game?
might be from
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
might
That's
be
from
from
Kingdom
Kingdom
Hearts.
Hearts.
But it's the
But
same.
look
He's in there.
Look how gigantic
Yeah.
those teeth are.
Yeah.
Yes, it is part. Like I said, it's part of the concept artist Gerald Scarf's style. I'm actually going to throw up in our
When
peanut
did-
gallery.
When did
The concept
Cerberus
art for
appear in the actual movie? Because I don't remember.
It was
He
like a
does.
Throws
cameo.
him like a steak roll.
Yeah,
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 And
yeah.
then like Hercules beats him up.
It was really quick, right? Okay.
Yeah, very very quick.
Yeah, just like little cameos.
Yeah.
Right,
The
right,
little
right.
cameos.
It's how he proves himself to the people of Thebes, right?
No,
No, he
that's
does not.
no,
fight
that
over
was a
the
different
Hydra.
It's the Hydra.
Yeah.
That was the
Hydra.
Hydra.
Okay, Hydra.
I think
It's
they
another
actually
level
had.
that thing.
I think they actually had plans to do the labors of Hercules, but then the story changed a lot.
Yeah,
So,
I
a
can-
lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
Okay, so
You know,
where do we want to rank this lovely Hades from?
I'm comfortable with A or S,
A would
honestly.
be-
You
I
want
would
to
put him
even
in
rank
A.
it? I think
I
I'll do
put him in A.
A for now, just because accuracy was a 0.
Low.
Yeah.
So
We can't give
low.
S
Negative.
status
It was a negative.
just yet.
Yeah.
Okay, well, moving on from the 90s, I believe we are discussing Percy Jackson's Hades, created by Rick Royden, Uncle Rick.
Oh my god.
I had
Our
to do
favorite
some. I
douche
had to go on the wiki page because I was just like, frick, I don't remember anything.
Yeah, like literally read this like 10 years ago.
I
or
know,
something.
like over 10 years ago. I think I was in 8th grade.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I will-
because
I will
Hades
put
doesn't
this
have a big
caveat.
role except for like the first book, I think.
I've read the entirety of the first series and I think about half of the second one.
Mhm.
So it has been a while. But
Yeah.
I saw the movie.
Oh,
you
you got
poor
dished
baby.
that. You got.
Poor
because-
I
baby.
don't know. I don't know if that's useful.
I'm not gonna lie. Hold
He was a
on.
douche in the movie. I have no idea what he was like. in the book.
I
Absolutely not. He's not like that.
More nuanced. More nuanced.
More
I'm
nuanced.
sorry.
More nuanced douche.
More-
Got it.
more-
Every
things to
other
do.
character.
Ooh, boy, yeah.
Look at
You
this.
scream douche in that
Are
photo.
those ripped sleeves?
Yes, they are.
Because how
He's
else
like
will
the-
you know?
He's like the uncle
Yeah.
who's too old to go to Hot Topic. I don't even know if that's if there's an uncle
He's
like
cool
that.
dad.
But
He's like, I used to be the hot topic.
oh
No, you did not.
gosh.
Mm.
Like this whole image, like with New York in the background and this interesting.
We can pretend this doesn't exist.
He's got
This
a
is only
bracelet
in the
cuff.
movie.
And he's
Yeah.
got a necklace. Oh, wait. What does he look like in the graphic novel? I'm very
Oh, okay.
curious.
Graphic-
Yeah, I'm
Where
curious.
does-
He's it's interesting. I kind of like it.
Oh.
Okay.
Wow, that's a very
Actually-
different hot topic.
Right.
Very.
Two goths go to the store.
The two sides of Hades.
It's interesting because, and I say this also as someone who did grow up, you know, I am American, so I'm like, do we feel like this kind of depiction also kind of goes with a very like Western idea of what is someone who is like a god related to death would look like? Like
100%. Yeah, it's like a grim. It has
It's
very grim Reaper
it's
vibes.
very graphic novel-esque.
Yeah,
like,
Yeah.
that,
yeah,
like
the shading
if
and
you were like,
everything.
oh, let's draw Hades for a graphic novel, like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, someone was like, let's get all the
This is it.
Nosferatu vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
literally
yeah.
skull guy.
I wonder how
guy,
he's
thin
described in the
hair.
books.
Well,
It's been a
let's. We can look really quick.
I think the
He
books
was-
actually, if you click on the book, it'll show you an illustration of.
Oh, it's not a good.
A
It's not a
book
good
version.
illustration though.
Oh.
At least I don't think. Hold on.
But at least he's wearing.
I just gotta throw him in
It
a
could
He
skull.
looks like a god.
Dope.
He looks more like a god. There's some zombies in the background, and
He
he's
looks
on a
bored.
throne chair.
I love it.
Yeah, I think he also has the laurel leaves. I think,
yeah.
which I think fits a little bit more with, I guess, depictions of Greek gods. So I kind of am vibing.
I will say
think
overall
that
the
is-
books are so much more superior. So just that's why I was like, show the book.
Although I feel like there's also a new edition, because I know Viria was doing a whole new update, but I don't know if she did the gods. I think it might have just been the demigods.
Just the wee kiddos.
Yeah,
The kiddos.
but just to go, yeah, because I saw these quotes too, and I was like, oh no, was Hades evil? Because again, I forgot everything that happened.
In the movie, he
But
was
it was
villain.
it was a
He's in the movie he's the villain, but in the books he's not.
he was the villain in the movie.
It's kinda
Tell
great.
us more.
He's not the villain in the books. I will say Hades is a much more nuanced character. So all of the demigods, like as related to their godly parent, they will have a fatal flaw, and the fatal flaw associated with Hades is holding grudges, which is like a really big thing for him. Is like is his bitterness as to his lot in life, his bitterness as to. So in the books, the big three, Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades, agreed not to father any more
right,
demigods because they're just way too powerful. But before they had that agreement, Hades had children.
The two kids, Nico and Bianca.
Yeah, yeah. So, and what, and Zeus is like, well, and in order to protect them, because Zeus killed their mother, he put them in this Lotus Eater hotel, right? But there is that bitterness. It's like, hey, I upheld my end of the bargain. Poseidon's just going off doing that. And then you have Talia. And what the hell are you doing? Because he's also very, very lawful good.
But it was
follows those
also,
rules.
there was also the grudge because of the fact that he didn't even have a cabin at Half-Blood Camp, right?
Exactly. And he
wouldn't
doesn't have a throne in Olympus either.
Yeah. There's like nothing in reference to him besides if you go
Exactly.
to the underworld, which, like, to be fair, I get why you would have some grudges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have such an important job, and you're not getting the respect you deserve for it.
Mm-hmm. And Elise, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's like a big plot point. Is like
It is a big
you
plot
think
point.
he's an evil character, right? But actually, he's trying to get recognition for him and his children. He wants his
I
children to
don't,
be
in the
recognized
first book,
as
I mean, I
demigods.
know like there was this whole thing about like, it's called Lightning Thieves. They're trying to figure out who stole Zeus's lightning bolts. But yeah, and a big part of that is that, and I know, so I'm trying to remember. So this is, in the first series, is Nico is his son.
Right.
Very big thing with Nico has a lot of those points. In the second series, he does have a daughter
Hazel.
when he was Pluto,
Right.
Hazel. And it's just, I just want to say it's so interesting to see like kind of like the different way their powers manifest. But anyways, I find him to be a fun character personally. But I'm also incredibly biased because I'm a huge fan of the Percy Jackson series.
I know,
So.
same, big same. I mean, Nico is my son.
He's so
Although I
adorable.
will say, so I also, my audio drama is Persephone Park, so obviously Persephone and Hades will have a big role in it. So I also did a demigod of Hades. But I guess, so the one inaccuracy is it does seem like Hades maybe
Impotent.
impotent. Thank you for the
Impotent.
word.
He can't have kids.
No children.
Hence why when I messaged you guys last night about Persephone's children, I was like, bleh.
Whoops.
So that might be the only thing I would dock. Obviously though, there's no way you could do a demigod book with the big three and then not have the last three be in it at all.
I mean, also, it does make sense though, like for him to be impotent because it's a god of death. Like, how do you create life?
Well, no, he's not the god of death.
Oh, that's
He's
right.
the
Keep
god
forgetting. I keep
of the
doing that.
dead,
He's
not the god of
underworld.
death.
I guess when you're surrounded by death though all the time.
Yeah.
Not a conducive
Although, wait,
environment.
is he actually impotent?
Debatable.
It's debatable.
It's
Because
debatable.
this is the
It
thing with
depend-
Greek
it depends
mythologies.
on who's telling or whose version of the
Yeah,
mythos
that's the
it
thing
is.
with mythology is that there's a lot of, it's a lot
Different
of,
versions.
yeah,
Mhm.
and
Because I know there's like one side where it's like Hades is just another facet of Zeus, and so like Zeus having kids with Persephone is not like super shocking or something like that.
It's all weird, man.
It's all
Mythology's
jumbled.
mythology.
It's all Greek to
stories.
me.
It's all Venn diagram.
Oh my god. It's the whiteboard and you're pinning everything together and
I
you
mean, yeah,
haven't
so,
slept
like,
in a week
yeah.
trying to
I
figure it
mean,
all out.
kind of going off what Jermaine says, because like, I know we haven't hit it yet, but Zagreus is,
Right.
there is an actual version of Zagreus.
Right.
In actual mythology, who may or may not be, it's all like,
Right. I read it. Okay, we will get there. We will get there when we get there, but let's talk about scoring. I feel like character design, we do have to knock down some points.
Oh yeah.
I really don't mind the character design, but it is not as fun as
No,
definitely
it
Disney.
is
like
not
your
Disney.
basic. It's like your
which is
Disney
hilarious
version.
because this is also a Disney
To be
book
fair,
technically.
when you like read the book, that was like preceding most of the graphic novel content, so like there was no visual
Yeah.
judgment passed. So unless we were like, it depends on what angle we want to come from. I don't think we have to judge it from like his character mostly, rather than like appearance.
Right.
Yeah.
Granted, all the gods are like wearing Hawaiian shirts or something. It's
Oh,
No, that's
yeah,
only Poseidon. When you see
Poseidon.
Zeus,
Oh,
he's
that's
wearing
right,
like
yeah.
a three-piece suit. Yeah.
Oh,
It's kind of like how they
alright.
want to
Does
be
they
perceived.
say,
That's so
actually?
not fun.
Yep.
Oh, it doesn't say if he's dressed a specific way or not.
You can like
yeah,
cross out
I
the
He's
feel
first
probably
like
name.
dressed in robes because
He's a
actually
drama
no.
queen.
I think no, because he's never like outside of the underworld during the
No,
book series
yeah.
proper. But I think when there's a flashback of him with Maria, he might be wearing a suit.
Oh, I think you're right.
Like they don't wear like modern day clothing unless they need to manifest
Right.
on the mortal
Mhm.
plane. So we rarely see him on the mortal plane, so that's why he whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. I would say like again, if 5 is the highest, 1 is the weakest, maybe 4 is all around.
Does he have a dog?
He gets a
He
5 for
must
dad,
have a
I think.
dog.
He's,
I think
he's
he gets a
trying
5
his
for
best.
dad.
5 for
He
dad.
gets a 5 for
Oh,
dad.
yeah, you can't. I guess you can't not be.
He's the most dad.
Yeah, he's the
dad,
most.
He's the
I
most
think.
dad.
Most dad.
He's the most
dad.
Well, I'm gonna also argue about another dad, but let's keep going.
Ooh, okay.
All
Yeah.
right.
I mean, he did make extreme efforts to protect his children. It's not his fault that his dick brother keeps on trying to,
Breaking promises.
right? And breaking them.
Elise knows where her feels lie on this one.
So
Oh,
I
yeah.
feel like we'll put him in S then.
We could put him in A if there's other aspects that brings him down, but
But
A or
do
S
he
for
have
me.
Doggo Dough?
I think
I'm
he
pretty sure
must
he
have
has
a
a
dog.
dog.
I think so. I think Cerberus does appear.
Yeah.
All I can say is Persephone in the Rick Riordan ones. In the movie, she's Rosario Dawson, and that was a lot of fun.
Oh.
She like betrays him. She's like, "God damn it, shut up!" And I'm like, "Yeah, amazing. I love you."
Okay, yeah.
That
I would
man
say
in
Persephone
his-
being the awkward stepmom to Nico is actually really funny.
Mhm.
Aww.
But if we put Hades from Percy Jackson in A, then I think we gotta move Hades from Hercules down to B.
Oh, okay. Let's do the other way around. Okay,
Okay.
nope. Put Percy Jackson
Okay,
up to S, and
okay.
I cannot.
I'm not moving Hercules one.
That's okay.
No,
That
Hercules.
works.
I will also
stays.
say something we didn't talk about with the Hercules Hades is that you also have to consider him in the Hercules TV show.
Oh,
Oh,
Which is
yeah.
slightly more accurate, so I think he should stay in A for that.
Okay.
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 I didn't even think about that. Okay. So, Jerem was the one who added this, but when we were chatting beforehand, neither of us have watched it.
Show the image.
Roll the clip.
It's Ralph Fiennes. What do you want?
Looking like a bargain basement Rasputin. Absolutely.
You should have seen the clip of him saying, "I am Hades." It's such bad CG. It's his head floating on this black swirling cloak.
Wait, so
and
have
then
you
he
seen this,
disappears in the
Elise?
black swirling cloud. He has a Biden.
He's a Biden.
He does have a Biden. He has a Biden.
Yes.
Is
that a thing? Because there was another.
Yes.
I think in the manga, he also has one of the Hades has a Biden.
He has a Biden
Okay.
in Ragnarok.
Right.
Yes. It's such a weird crossover. I'm sorry.
That's anime for you, Jermaine.
I'm like trying to like put the dots together, and I'm a wee bit confused. I'm just gonna let this just.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie though. When I watched the trailer for Clash of the Titans, it did look good until I read the synopsis.
The story.
I don't know what it was actually about, and then it just all fell apart from there.
I was just reading it, and I was like, okay, so far I get.
Yeah. So okay, there are two movies. There's a 2010 and a 2012.
And then I was like, hold on, some words started popping up, and I was like, I don't think this is Greek myth. Oh yeah, a djinn pops up, and I'm like, wait a minute, what? And then I
like, we're making trash, just throw shit at a wall, see what fucking happens.
Like a bunch of random other creatures.
Also, yeah.
Oh yeah, the Kraken is not Greek mythology, so I was like, wait a minute.
Well, you know what the best part is? So Hades is the one who takes away Cassiopeia's beauty, and he's also the one who summons the Kraken. So it's just
That's right, I've seen that scene. It's like the Kraken, and you're like, what? You're not Poseidon. You can't just do that.
Also, Hera was the one who was pissed at Cassiopeia. She's like, or something like, it's one of the goddesses who was like, how dare you?
So basically, just like appearance, accuracy, just all the apps.
It's inaccurate in a not fun way. Unlike the Disney
inaccurate, it's ugly,
Right.
it's cringe.
I mean, I kind of want to watch it to see how bad it is.
We should do a movie.
I will hate watch this movie.
I will
It's a
watch
good
it.
airplane film, guys.
Yeah.
That's
I
where
will say
watched
Ralph
it.
Fiennes acts his little heart out.
So
He's like,
I don't.
I'm gonna do a good job. I'm not gonna like it, but I'm gonna do a good job.
He's doing his best.
He is truly doing his best.
Gosh, I guess the other thing that kills me too is when I keep looking at this image, I'm like, did you guys like?
I will say the
want
costume
to
designs
kinda
were also
match?
kind of awkward.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
Exactly. We're supposed to be in ancient Greece. ...
No.
No. Well, I mean, like, okay, this is a little off kilter, but it's kind of that the issue we have with a lot with Hollywood is that someone is European and it's always just a British actor in the end. I don't know if this person is British or not.
Yeah.
But I'm personally thinking of like Wonder Woman when Ares showed up and it was the guy from Harry Potter. And I was like,
I could have made him anything, but you made him white.
Sarah, I mean, maybe Sarah could correct me on this, but I think it's because there was like some weird like rule or something. Like if like Hollywood wanted to hire like a British actor or something, they had to give them like a certain amount of lines, and Hollywood's like, fine, we'll make them the villain. I think
so there might have been
heard something
contractual rules within their union, within BAFTA. But I mean, probably like they probably didn't like justify the cost of bringing them over unless they had a certain amount of lines.
Yeah.
But,
anyway, sorry, I just remember something really like there was this really weird fact, and that's why all the villains are British.
Oh,
interesting.
But still, you could have made better choices.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah.
This was 2012. No one made good decisions in 2012.
This was 2010.
Didn't we elect Obama in 2012?
He loved Indeed.
Sarah, we
Yes,
had
exactly. He loves
one
Indeed.
shot and we put it all on Obama.
Like Wish.com Hades. That's what you like. You order. Did you get this?
We started so high.
And come so far.
We'll go back up, right?
Right?
We are definitely going up with the next one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are we going up?
Who's next?
So I think it's safe to say that Clash of the Titans Hades is a D.
Yeah.
There's so much inaccuracy. The character design is not ancient Greece at all. Likability, I mean, he does have that fun line, release the Kraken, even though he's not Poseidon and the Kraken is not Greek mythology. But I don't think he's a dad, nor does Cerberus show up in this movie. So
Yeah.
No, dog,
He's not crack-a-lackin'.
it's a D. Okay, so, oh boy, this one.
Oh yeah.
I may
Oh,
have
yeah.
a lot of unpopular
boy.
opinions
Got the hot
No
one.
discussion needed.
on this one.
He gets like triple bonus points for Doggo because he has so many dogs.
Does he
Yep.
really?
Oh my
He
god!
does.
How dare you
Just
look
put
so
him in
fine
S,
when you're
there's
just a
no
collection of
discussion
lines?
needed.
I don't like this franchise. So
You don't like his design?
Okay, maybe design I will. Okay, I don't think he's an S. Maybe a
Netflix,
B.
question mark.
Oh yeah, he's coming on. They're coming on the Netflix now.
Wait, does he
Yeah, they
really
are
have
on
all these
Netflix.
dogs?
Look at
They're
this
getting all
dogs.
the animated series.
Doggo.
Oh my god.
He has so many dogs.
Hold on.
He has so many dogs.
I wanna see
We
these dogs.
approved this Hades.
Look
for
at
his
how many
many
dogs he
Oh my
has.
gosh. Okay, maybe I will bring him up.
I mean, even if he like loses out on like all
Look
the
how
other categories, he
small
gets like
this
so many
one
bonus
was.
points from just like the number of dogs he has. Like,
Wait,
Right.
I don't know if you guys can
Gosh.
see, but this one's like the size of his face, Melly.
Yes.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
She's a puppy.
Okay, I might. Okay, you're right. Maybe he is an S.
Okay,
I can
see,
ignore-
just the
I
dogs.
can ignore everything else.
You
'Cause he
know,
has
like
so many dogs.
I mean,
he's
I'm gonna say this because it's funny because I think I was the one who got you guys to read Lore Olympus first. I think he's like an A.
Really?
no
Like-
incorrect.
I
Listen,
think he's like an A. I think
he's
he's like an A.
he's a 6, but he has 1,000,000 dogs. All right, so it makes him a 10.
Yes. He has so many dogs.
I was honestly thinking
many
Maybe we
dogs.
should have a
C.
special
But
category
how
where
do
it's
we
like
feel?
where it's
Okay,
just
so
How
dogs.
many dogs though?
Okay, without the dog, though, how do we feel about him in Lore Olympus? What are the vibes on him as a character?
I mean,
what are we feeling?
I like him. He was gonna go
I
stab.
like him
he
a
was gonna
lot.
go stab Apollo in the face. That's what that's all I fucking wanted.
I think I just don't like Lore Olympus.
Oh,
Blasphemy! You
well,
have to go
that's-
to the
that's
dungeon.
acceptable. Yeah.
It's just one of those things
I don't.
where
I mean, I love it, so I don't understand. But you know,
if this
it's not
show
everyone's cup of
was
tea.
rebranded as like not gods, like if they were just normal people, like Chad or whatever, I think I would really enjoy this series. But I don't.
But I
Chad.
think that's another thing.
Chad
The way
has
the
17
Greeks
dogs.
made their gods, they are kind of like people. They
It's
have a lot
definitely
of
like
foibles.
they
They're
definitely
basically people.
penalize them as a soap opera, basically back in the day. But
Yeah.
I feel like the issue is I don't know how many chapters there are of Lore Olympus, but the
1,000,000.
more there are, I feel like the more cracks appear with inaccuracies.
I mean, it is a reimagining, but
Right.
I think she does like go into other things like, oh, I completely did not know Hades' name was Adonis. But it's kind of like I feel like she takes
Let me go to his face.
things. I feel like it's one of the few depictions of Hades that shows nymph, for
Minty?
example. I think,
Yeah.
Minty. What she does is she takes a lot of base from mythology that we ourselves don't know about, like really strong bases, and then she extrapolates from that.
Right. I think that's what I'm saying though, is that like you can't take a sentence and make it into an essay.
But I will say this: I mean, if we're going to find the Disney's Hercules to be acceptable
so
in terms of
that is what I do want to
accuracy,
talk
right?
about. Is that
I
like
feel like
why? Yeah, I do want to
there's
talk
something
about
more to this.
why Hades is an A despite getting a 0 in accuracy versus
Well,
like
because his underworld was accurate. I thought that's
but
what
he
we had
was
come down on.
I mean, his personality was so inaccurate though.
True.
I mean, in some ways, yeah.
So what
I mean,
personalities do
as-
these gods even have? You know what I mean? Like, that's all extrapolation on our part. That, like, we know their actions, but we don't actually know their personalities.
Mhm.
You can do the same action with, like, lots of different motives and attitudes behind it. So I don't know if, like, personality is 100%, like, something we can judge accuracy on. Like, we can say it feels, like, true to form, but not necessarily, like, perfectly accurate.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I want to say, like, as a sort of reimagined series and trying to work with like the clusterfuck. Can I swear?
Yeah, you can say that.
That's like Greek mythology.
bleep you.
Thank you. It's a pretty good series overall, right? But if you're voting for accuracy, it's like okay until like I guess when she has to do more expansion, it gets a little bit lost.
Yeah,
in the weeds.
but it's also kind of like being inaccurate because it's also expanding the role of Persephone, who is the main character of the
Right.
series.
Right.
And she gets nothing in Greek mythology almost.
Yeah,
Right.
and I mean the story between them is also like horrendously short.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
There's only,
And
it's
not
like a
great.
page. So like maybe an A. I would say S for fun, but then A if we wanted
Wow,
to be
okay,
more,
you guys
like
are-
more sticking to the actual like rubric that we came up with.
Okay.
Then probably
But I
A.
feel- But I feel like in
I
terms
mean-
of like, is he a dad? He is definitely a dog dad.
He's
No,
and he's
Alicia, that's why we have
babies.
two different rules here. Is he a dad or is there a
I
doggo?
mean,
He's very paternal.
if we're also going to go back to likability, I do think Rachel Smith, in terms of like designing this webtoon and also making it for web, Rachel Smith has won the game
Very true.
with the high contrasts and also with
Color coding.
kind of like the cool tones because
Definitely.
like he's the underworld. And also one thing I appreciated about Laura Olympus is that don't forget he's also like the god of like jewels or mines.
He's
like,
rich.
definitely,
Riches, yes,
everyone-
every-
riches,
yeah.
riches. So like him being kind of like dressing in all his fancy designer clothing and also just gifting like really nice gifts like here and there, and also just like the cool tones of the underworld as seen as a bureaucratic, organized, very efficient hellscape is very fun.
I wonder if I
And
can show it
I don't
there.
know. There's something about the order of it that I'm like, I feel like
I will say spoilers
that
too,
works.
in terms of the current underworld doesn't necessarily reflect what we know of the underworld. This is the latest chapter of Lore Olympus, so this is a spoiler that I'm going to say. It's implied Persephone's going to be in charge of differentiating where mortals go, and she's the one who's going to be making the fields of I think it's the fields of Asphodel.
I
Oh,
thought
no,
it was
Elysium. Sorry.
Elysium Fields.
Yeah, she's
Asphodel
making
is
the-
bad. You
That's
don't want to
bad.
go to Asphodel.
Sorry, I am very tired.
Oh, look at him! He's
Oh, yeah, yeah.
so sad in his apartment.
In terms of likability, I think he ranks.
This is the.
I
this
think
is-
he ranks
I'm
pretty
fine.
high.
yeah, I think he's quite likable, and I mean, he does have like a tragic backstory about being eaten by his dad, which is accurate.
Which is accurate, and I will say,
That is
in terms of
accurate,
his
yeah.
personality, he is very he's very
Barley
organized
mother.
and stringent, which is something that the Greek god Hades does have.
Yeah.
He's very rule abiding. So he, in some ways, he is probably more accurate than the Disney Hades.
Oh, I 100% agree with you that he is way more accurate. Oh shoot, maybe you guys are right. Maybe it should be an S then.
Yeah, I think he should be an S because I think he's very likable. He's quite accurate in core aspects. I mean, we're judging him and not necessarily the Hades location.
Right. Or
The work
He
itself
has
is not like
so
terrible.
many dogs.
Elise, we can't just
I
do
feel like we
dogs.
can't use the dogs.
Yes,
can't
we
use the
can.
dogs anymore.
But
We
you
can't
cannot
use
be
this.
judged by the number of dogs.
You can't be judged by the number of
But
dogs.
in terms of the quality of
treats the dogs,
judges,
though.
he treats the dog so well. I think I would argue that goes into him being a dad.
Those are separate things.
Those
Those
are
are
separate
separate
things.
things.
And you know
No,
that.
I mean, he does
Separate
try to have
things.
You've
flame
never
babies
seen me.
with Persephone in the comic, but
Sarah, was that Sarah? One more time?
they have like
Sorry,
flame
yeah.
babies in the comic, I think, or they try to.
Flame
Like she makes little
babies.
fire badoops.
I don't recall that
I
quite
don't
yet, but it's
remember that.
Did I hallucinate it? It sometimes happens with Laura Olympus where I just hallucinate things. I was like, we killed Apollo. No, they didn't. Are we sure about that? Yes, Apollo's
it's
still
like
alive.
not yet.
Aw.
It's still the court case, right?
No,
Yes.
it's way past that. It is
No
way past
All
No
right.
that.
spoilers, no
We're
spoilers.
in season 3.
Okay.
Okay.
I've been keeping up with it.
All right. I will put this on an S, even though I don't like the show.
Congratulations.
You don't
Wait,
have
this
one
show? Wait, there's a show?
Oh, not the show. The
There will be
series.
a
The
show.
series.
There will be
Oh,
a
okay,
show.
okay.
It's
Yeah.
currently only a webtoon. Currently
Okay,
only
okay.
a webtoon.
Sorry, I
guys.
I
Okay.
switched
Yeah.
show and series as the same thing. Okay, now not to confuse anybody, but we're going to talk about Hades from Hades.
It's a game.
It's a game. Oh,
He's also
nice.
a game.
Oh no, did I link the wrong one?
Way down in the deep. I keep
I
wanting to
did
say
think the
Hades
wrong
Town, but we're not
one.
there yet.
We're
Not
not
yet.
yet. No, that's the most recent edition. Although I will say, I would like to discuss at the very end, we do have an animated film, a YA book series, a live action film, a webtoon comic, a video game, and a Broadway show. I would love to discuss how crazy it is that there's so many different.
We have more video games too in the
We have more
That's
video
very
games
true.
too.
Very
It's
true.
like plus 2.
God of War.
Oh yeah, that's right. There is the God of War Hades.
Oh yeah.
Okay, let me just bring up his love. Oh, come on. It's such a small image. Show me
But
his
he has such a
okay.
gravitas.
Show me his face. I know you have it.
I want to see
There you
his
go.
face.
There you go. Hello.
Oh,
Big
yes.
Dad.
There we go.
But did-
Does he get points for beard?
He gets points for
Does he
being.
get-
Oh my
Does he-
gosh!
does he
How
get
have
dad
I
points
never
if
noticed
I
his
call him
beard?
daddy?
Oh my god.
Yes, he gets dad points. Sarah, he's a giant daddy.
He's already covered. He has an actual son in here.
Oh my god.
I mean,
And
I
he has
know
a
I
dog.
was making a joke. Thank you.
And he has a giant dog.
Okay. Are we just likability wise as a person?
He's kind of a dick in the game.
How
He's
much do you
supposed to
like?
be,
yeah,
Oh,
how
is
much do
he
you like
supposed to be?
dicks?
I mean, he's.
Oh, whoa.
Oh, wait, it came out of my mouth. I was like,
Came out of your
What did
mouth.
Elise say? What did Elise say?
shut up. Shut up.
Wait, no. What
That
did
can
Elise
go
say?
in many different in several ways.
I was like, because I was, he gets kind of a dick in the game. And I said, well, it depends on how much you like dicks.
Oh my-
And I was like,
okay,
wait.
no.
And it just keeps coming
Inappropriate.
out. This keeps coming out of your mouth.
No. Okay. I mean, he's hardworking.
That was pretty good.
And he has a son who is constantly running away. So I could see his side of the story,
He's kind of done with his
maybe.
shit. Like, come on, please.
I mean, but that's the point. Like, not to put too many spoilers on a 2-year-old game, but
Spoiler.
it's funny that Zagreus does try. Zagreus is not suited for the kind of bureaucratic work that his father does, and I think he actually has a little convo with his dad, because you do unlock convos with everyone as you progress through the game, where he's like, yeah, I'm not suited for doing this, but I'm much better at doing that instead. And he's like, you know what, you're right, son, keep testing the security around Hades, because that's what you're good at. And he's like, oh my god.
I know.
You
It's
know,
like, Dad noticed me.
So he is, gosh, how do I put it? He's supposed to be a crusty kind of impenetrable wall, because a lot of things happened, a lot of drama happened between him and Demeter and Persephone, and it also was because things happened during Zagreus's birth that traumatized all the two parents, so they separated,
right.
and they're both kind of sad. They're sad about it, and it's just Hades, your big daddy, takes it out on how do I process my very squishy feelings and my wife abandoning me and my child because she was also traumatized. I'm going to bottle them up.
Yeah.
And so is he likable? Personally, I feel like you just need to play the game.
Well,
and settle.
do we
I
like
will
him
also say
as
though,
a
for
character,
accuracy, I've only seen the scenes from the game. I actually haven't played it itself. But when Zagreus meets Persephone, she's like, "But you died." Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't that also kind of what happens with
Yes.
with Loki and when Hela is born, that she starts dying, and the mom freaks the fuck out. So I was like, huh. Are we pulling in an element from Norse mythology for that one? Which is, I mean, it's an interesting issue.
So do we want to talk about
I
Zagreus
think-
real quick? His lore
Yeah.
is very
does
different from the
die.
actual game.
He
does die.
He does
Yeah.
die.
Okay.
He does
Because
die.
Zagreus is one of the kids that possibly Zeus fathered.
Father.
Unclear.
And Hera gets
Unclear.
jealous, and as usual Hera behavior, instead of taking it out on the father, takes it out on the child. So Zagreus does die thanks to Hera, but because he has god genes, was then rebirthed in I believe a human mother.
Yes.
And then later becomes
Interesting.
Dionysus.
So it's like Dionysus / Zagreus, but then Hera gets mad, dismembers them, and then the rest of that happens. And I'm like, Hera. Anyway,
To be fair, if you're Hera and you're like, wow, my incredibly powerful husband who murdered our father with his bare hands as a fucking titan, I can either take him down or the wee human / baby / boy / whatever else Zeus put his dick in. I can fight that. So, like, she's picking the smarter battle, even though it's not the person who's most deserving of it.
I don't know. But then at that point, like, why even put up a fight then? This is like the 50th child.
Because
it's her fatal flaw.
Well, because you can. Fatal flaw.
Yeah.
So, I do
Greeks
think
wanted...
It seems like everyone's fatal flaw is
did.
grudges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would argue
they weren't
Hera's
supposed
is
to
like
be
wrath.
perfect. They weren't supposed to be perfect. They were supposed to be mirrors of ourselves, and they're allowed to make mistakes.
I don't know that many people who mess up as much as Zeus does. Thankfully, I will say.
I've met a couple of guys in college who I would definitely be like, yeah, you could learn a thing or two from this story about not putting your dick in everything that
I'm
you see.
distinctly remembering some things I have observed, but
Oh gosh, moving on.
I will say the design wise, like this is clearly more Greek aesthetic, and I just noticed like his belt has jewels, which is a nice, homage to the fact that he is in the underworld where all the jewels are. I do like the, what do you call the leaf?
Laurels.
Yeah, the
Laurels.
wreath thingy on his head.
Yeah, so I do think character design wise is very refreshing. The fact that he's red instead of blue, as opposed to a lot of his counterparts.
And that makes sense with the Persephone thing because like he gets her when like the leaves turn. So.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
Yes, that was always
Representation of fall.
that was a fun detail about it. That actually, yeah. So Zagreus and Hades have that fall feeling. Like, and I think it's a purposeful aesthetic. I'm trying to remember. I think Gen Z was the character designer for Hades, and I also might be paraphrasing this interview, but Gen Z was given like I think the freedom to pick colors. And so the contrast with these like really high contrast, really bright with a very kind of dark and, changing landscape, because it is a game where you change different settings as you go. I think that was a really good choice. And also he really stands out in his, what do you call it, Elise? Like his reception hall when he's hearing the grievances of the dead.
Oh yeah, his reception hall, he has this
work
gigantic desk.
His gigantic desk, and he has,
He's
this
like,
is like,
next.
I love that though. Like if we're going to talk about the underworld being this weird kind of bureaucracy, one of the things that I love about interacting with him is he sits at his desk and he has a line of petitioners, and they apparently like ask for things and he either grants it or he doesn't, or he's just bored. Like he's just like next, or okay, pass, or okay, you can have this. And it's just like, I don't know, funnily domestic or mundane. I really like that.
I would say the best detail, though, about the game is when you finally get to fight Hades at the end of, like, every escape attempt, he's, like, the final boss. He, like, tears off his cloak and it burns in fire. And at one point, Zagreus is like, does he have a closet full of them? And you get to go to his room and he has a closet full of cloaks.
Cute.
Just the cloaks. Sorry. Anyways.
It's the drama. It's the drama of hello, son.
I think as a person he's not likable, but I think as a character he's just a lot of fun.
So similar to Hades and in Hercules, where like he's likable even though he's a villain.
He's not quite a villain either.
He's not quite a villain.
He's the other thing too.
He's like what Horikoshi wished he made Endeavor into.
Yeah.
A redeemable shitty dad. Like an actual redeemable shitty
He's
dad.
redeemable. That's a very good point, because also, I'm sorry, it's a spoiler for a 2-year-old game, but by the time you actually convince Persephone to return to the underworld, they actually have a couple of really, I think, touching conversations and trying to work out what happened. So it's like, yeah, you weren't the best dad, but you're trying now. Dot. And, you know, you wouldn't have gotten there if your son wasn't as stubborn as you are, you know?
I'll also mention he has a dog, and you can hug the dog in the game. It's great.
Yes, you can hug the dog in the game.
I
As
thought
you
you
can
only
tell,
hug the dog.
Elise's main thing is, can I hug this dog, though?
Wait, but I thought,
I mean,
wasn't there like a whole thing where like you can only pet one of the dogs, and the game developer was really sad that they forgot to fix that or something like that?
no,
Yeah.
is it like that? I thought you could like hug it every time you're in the reception hall.
When you're in the reception hall and you hug it, he only interacts with the middle dog, and the designer was like, no, I wanted it to be all three, but we forgot.
Oh, so it's the head. Okay, yeah,
so
yeah.
you only really pet the middle one.
They forgot
Like, you
the
only-
dog.
I mean, you
How
see the
dare.
like in the chin scratch animation, all three dogs are like excited, wagging their tail, you know, and they look happy. But you're only really petting the main the middle
one
one,
head.
and it's like, you know, animation's hard. Like, I'll
Totally
take
get
it.
A
that.
lot of moving parts in that
Yes.
game. We can
Then
forgive them.
do we want? Where is he? Don't I add him? Oh, there he is.
He's
Okay.
at the he's the fourth to the
He's next to
Is he an S or?
I would honestly put him in S. I feel
I'd
like
put him in S. Would we need to knock someone down though to keep?
I mean, we have
What
we
do you
have the
think?
person
Keep
in
three
D.
people in
S.
Oh, you're saying is S too lenient right now?
Is S too lenient? That's the thing.
I feel like as we
right?
get to the other ones, though, I feel like we will start knocking some things down.
Well,
but
so
I
there's
will
only-
argue all three of those are really exceptional depictions of Hades.
There's only one real Hades left. The rest are all kind of joke / anime ones that I found. So let's discuss Hades Town. And then maybe we can reorganize and just discuss about how mythology as a whole and main media is evolving and like what we like or dislike about it. Yes, because Hades Town.
I have not seen this musical, so
I don't know
So
anything
I
about
have the
this.
I just read the
same
wiki. That's it.
critique about Hades Town with Lore Olympus, where like you're taking a very small
Yeah.
story and turning it
Applying
into
it to
a
like
2-hour
modern
play.
sort of
I will say
context.
I do like the themes and how they use the themes to develop the characters into certain ways,
Yeah.
especially for
absolutely.
Hades. I don't like it
Agreed.
for I have no idea why Hermes is in this show.
Because he's the messenger. He is their herald.
Yeah, he's
you know?
heralding the
He's
story.
not the god of theater.
Yeah.
He's not Odysseus. Not Han. Not Odysseus. Eurydice. Orpheus. Sorry.
It's
Orpheus.
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 There's
Yes.
so many names. He's not Orpheus's son, father. I was like, why are you? He's also not very Hermes-like to me. But we can discuss that later. We're here to discuss this guy, this Hades.
This guy. OG, we're going with the OG. I mean, I guess we're doing it in the story, but I'm also low-key being like, that specific actor.
Let me pull up his name.
I don't remember his name, but that specific actor has a really deep, deep voice.
It's so
and
good.
I was like,
Yes.
ooh.
David
Yes.
Simmons? I apologize if I'm butchering your name.
Yeah,
Oh no, that's the
David
Vermont one. Sorry. Patrick Page? No, Tom. Oh my gosh, why are there so many actors?
Hold
it's
on.
Broadway,
Patrick
baby.
Page. Patrick Page.
Okay.
No, it's Patrick Page.
Yeah.
Such a
I could-
deep voice. Like, I know we discussed how. We only really discussed Hades and Hercules and how they queer coded him and made him sassy. But I do like this other version where he's like just booming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's. I approve.
Mhm.
And then in this one, so like I said before, they do change things because like the original concept is a very short story to fit the narrative. So he is technically, I would say, the villain of this musical.
Yeah.
Because this musical, the themes are like anti-capitalism and also about the environment, and Hades is basically ruining all that in the play.
Yep. He's like, well, you gotta work to make money, and it's just like, I mean, but you could just give people stuff, and he's like, nah, sounds fake.
Sorry.
New phone, who this? Sorry. It is interesting. He's also in a suit.
Yes.
Not all the time, I think, in the musical, but in some cases, he is in a suit because he is like basically the CEO of the underworld in this version.
Yep.
Yes.
But he does say, I don't know if he thinks this to be true or if he actually is doing this, but he does say he's doing this all for Persephone.
Yes. He definitely believes that he's doing what's best for her and their family, so to speak. But you can tell and this is like one of the versions of the Hades mythos with Persephone, where she's just fucking miserable the entire time. Mm-hmm. She clearly doesn't want to go with him. She's really unhappy. She drinks super heavily. And she's sort of like trying to bring some sort of like sunlight to the workers, but she's so far into her despair that it's just like, it's more depressing than anything else. So it's one of those adaptations of that section of the myth where it does really feel more like she was coerced or forced, rather than this being sort of like a tongue-in-cheek, oh, teehee, she was kidnapped, even though she really wanted to, you know?
Right. Which I do appreciate, showing a different, something that, or like a very tough subject and showcasing it instead of just like hiding it or like creating it to look more PG or whatever.
Yeah, it's definitely a much darker, more adult story. And I will say though, actually, in terms of accuracy to the character, I feel like this character lacks. Like, I don't feel quite as strong. Not because like he's less likable, but just because so much of it seems like they put it like they're like, oh, he's sinister, and you're like, doesn't seem like he's taking care of the souls in his care. He's just sort of, doing it for himself, and that's not very Hades-like.
Right. Well, I mean, there's also the song Build a Wall, I think, which I feel like must be a very clear metaphor to Trump. Is that the word?
Yeah.
Metaphor?
No, I mean, is he going to have someone else pay for this wall, or is he paying for it?
No.
Well, to be fair, he's actually building the wall versus the other guy did not.
I guess.
Yeah. So there's definitely things that aren't Hades, but also as well, to be fair, even though it is called Hades Town, he isn't the main character. So this is tough.
Yeah.
Maybe
It's tough because he's not the focus. Unlike the other,
Yeah.
I mean, even with Percy Jackson, he's not really the main character, but still, he is by far the least, main character, I think.
Yeah, I will say, like, also in terms of, he is not a dad, nor does he have a doggo. I don't remember there being a dog in the play, or even mentions of one. I just I would even, and I like the show, I would put him, and I like the actor, obviously Patrick Page does a great job, but I would put him at a C. That's like kind of where I would have him live.
I feel that. Because
I might
think of it this way. I know the show is analogy. It's like, oh yeah, Orpheus is, God, he's a traveling poet, oh, they're in like a boom town. It's like, and correct me if I'm wrong, Sarah, because it just kind of feels like it's fun set dressing.
Yeah.
More so than this is really driven to be like a celebration of Greek mythos and living in that sphere.
No, I definitely think
if that makes sense.
That the person who created this had themes in mind and needed the story to fit those themes, basically.
Anais Mitchell, who is like a really popular singer-songwriter in her own right. I think she's got Grammys and everything. Not from this, other things that she's done. Came at this as a concept album first. And so, when it's a concept album, things can be a lot looser. And then when they were like, we'll make this into a play, I think they had to put in a lot more and make Hades more of like a villain. You know what I mean? Rather than just being like a force. Like in the concept album, he feels very much like sort of like a force of nature that's just undeniable. slow to change, and so on and so forth. And then when they like actually had to make the play, they're like, well, shit, like we have to actually give this guy character.
Yeah. I agree with you on putting him maybe at like, towards C. Because he is, I love his voice. I love like when he comes on and you're like, oh, wow.
I might do B just for his voice.
Likability only gets you so far, bud.
All right.
We can put him in B for now.
B for now.
Think.
Okay. Well, okay.
Yeah, because I think it sounds like he's more closer to Disney Hades than Clash of Titans Hades. Anyway.
Oh, they're all very different people.
Yeah,
it's so fascinating though.
It is.
To see, like,
Even the
interpretations
S
of
tier.
Exactly. Like, what does that say about mythology making?
Well,
guys?
D is clearly lazy Hollywood. So
Okay,
D
so
is
I guess we
Hollywood
can
trying to
ignore.
make things very shiny and not working out.
I guess let's ignore D for now and focus from S to B. I do like Angeli's question here about like what does that mean for mythology. I mean, I feel like it does open up a lot of opportunities. And well, I also want to ask the question like, Hades from Hercules is so inaccurate, but
Right.
we forgive him for that clearly because he's an A. So when does the inaccuracy take you down to D? And when does it take you to an A?
yeah.
I feel like maybe. Oh, go ahead first. Sorry.
I was gonna go ahead and say it. I think it's like how true to the spirit of it is. Like, obviously these are very different media. These are very different like goals, right? It's like Hercules is for children. Hades Town is very much geared for adults. Hades the game is geared for like younger people, but not like children,
Mm-hmm.
right? And Lore Olympus is sort of like all over the place where it's like kind of teens, but also young adults and older. So like they're aimed at different audiences. So I think sticking to sort of like the spirit of what Hades is, whatever that interpretation might be, is probably how you can score higher or lower.
it could also just be on how. Actually, Jermaine, you were going to say something. You go ahead.
Yeah, Jeremy,
I was
go ahead.
sort of riffing off of that. I was gonna say like maybe the bonus points are coming from originality, like how
Oh yeah,
would you sort of
that should have been
that's a
a
really great
scoring point.
Yeah, like,
Originality.
yeah, how would you meld sort of the concept into a more sort of original take,
Mhm.
or how would you elevate this very simplified or like the basic story of like Persephone and Hades, or like even Hades as a concept, right?
Mm.
Into a
Yeah.
fully fleshed character with a
I
story
agree.
and all sorts of fun stuff.
Yep.
I
And dog.
Yeah, go ahead, Elise.
Oh, I think what I was going to say was going to basically be a version of what Jermaine said. I was going to say,
Yeah.
it's like, for me, it was like, how lazy were they? Which I think kind of goes to
Yeah.
how original were they? Because it was so lazy in Clash of Titans, right? It's like, oh, we have a god with the underworld. I guess he's the villain.
Right.
And that's what it felt like.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Or like let's make him
And
the
I-
baddest one.
Yeah, and I just want to jump on what that means, like, because just to tie in the whole idea of the spirit of the thing and the originality of like how you interpret it. We do have stories. They are still kind of bare bones. They're not quite as like fleshed out the way that modern writers would want to have the personality, the backstory, the motive. We kind of have these existing long form, he did this to her and then this happened kind of things to then base our interpretations. And especially with Hades as the least like to most people, he is a very fun character to play with and adapt because there's a lot of wiggle room to look at the kidnapping of Persephone and be like, what if it wasn't a kidnapping? What if there was some consent behind it? And playing around with things like that. Or like, what does it mean to actually rule the underworld? Is it actually a scary thing? Is it a sinister thing? Or is it just kind of like a job? So like being able to have a lot of that wiggle room, I think makes him a very attractive character to play with. And then when you get a lazy interpretation, which is like, he's just evil because dead, instead of what does death mean? What does it mean to be the ruler of the dead? You know?
Right.
Yeah. And I also think some of that, like, oh, it's scary because he's the ruler of death, or, you know, the ruler of the land of the dead, comes a lot from that, like, Christianification of just the global narrative of, like, well, death is therefore bad, so he must be evil. A lot of, like, early depictions of, there is, like, a Disney, I think Disney did in the, I want to say the 30s or 40s, like, a version of...
Yes.
Yeah. Where they
Silly Symphonies,
where they basically do like the abduction of Persephone, and he's basically just Satan. He's just Christian Satan.
He is.
I will. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh no, I will just say one thing. One of the reasons why he probably doesn't have like a lot of myths about him is because like Greeks did not like to refer to him by name because they were afraid that it would call attention to him. So that's what they would call him, like the generous one or the Lord of Riches or the kindly one, because they're like, please don't look at me.
They're like, oh, they're always listening. We can't, like,
don't perceive me.
Exactly. It's like, you know, if you see the Grim Reaper, you're probably gonna die soon. That kind of logic, definitely. Yeah. I mean, I guess it. I had a different franchise. Oh, I was thinking of maybe this isn't a connection at all, but I was thinking of Cowboy Bebop, the live action versus the anime, and how. So I watched Jermaine. We watched the first 3 episodes. I felt like these.
Wait, are you
like
are you
Where are we
comparing,
going
like,
with this?
originality?
Where are we
I'm
going?
talking about.
As in, like, how people adapt
so there's
material.
I do feel like if you're going to remake a series, there has to be a level of originality to it. But then I feel like Cowboy Bebop tried that, and everybody hated the fact that it wasn't exactly like the original. So I guess there is the question of, like, as a creator, like, how do you choose? Like,
I will say there is a huge distinction over adapting mythologies, especially Greek mythology, which is old as shit. They don't really have strong adherence. And Cowboy Bebop, which is one of the best anime created and has like a horde of rabid fans who will never be satisfied with anything. So there is that small distinction there. I will point out.
that is very true. They were brutal.
I mean, that's why, like, you know, like you probably, I mean, there's multiple reasons why you don't see that. I mean, think of it as like Prince of Egypt, the DreamWorks film, right? And then there was that what was it? What was that? The Ten Commandments,
the sequel one
movie, Sarah?
Are we talking about the one that everybody likes that sings the songs from?
No, Prince of Egypt.
Prince of Egypt.
That's the one everyone likes.
Yeah.
But then there's one that tells the exact same story, and it was a live action one, and people don't like it. And Ten Commandments, right?
Yeah.
But they made they recently made a reboot of that one.
Yeah, I
People
think
did not
was
like
just,
that.
Yeah, it was just called 10 Commandments, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I think
I mean, there's that too.
I think there's also a level of I feel you can tell the director's intent and respect of the original source, and if the fans don't feel that, it's not going to come across as something that they will also enjoy. I'm thinking of another anime.
All the animes.
Sorry.
Oh, just say it.
I was thinking of like how disappointed I was with the original Fullmetal Alchemist live action, like despite the fact that it followed the plot.
No matter what, I'm sorry. Like that was just not gonna happen. I would rather
it followed the plot relatively well though, but I could just tell like that film had no soul.
Like yeah, I think it was. I don't even know how to describe it. It was a surreal experience, like just watching it. Like, I can't believe they greenlit this. But then again, there's like the Black Butler live action, which is also pretty bizarre. Apparently, it's like an okay movie overall, but since they did like a very different spin on the whole like setting and character of Seal, what other films are there? Like, I would say Rurouni Kenshin if we wanted to compare like a very good, I think, adaptation to original work. I would say that one's pretty good.
I think,
Go for it.
I was going to say was, Angela and I frequently discuss this, of there are some things that can be depicted in animation that can't be depicted in live action perhaps, but I mean, I think for me, like, for adaptions, it's like, why are you making this adaptation?
Right, there has to be an intent.
With like Rurouni Kenshin, because it is, you know, it's like a historical sword drama, like seeing that in live action could be incredibly cool, right? But, maybe to the Full Metal Alchemist, like the Soul of Comet, Angela, the other angel, made this. Like, why did you do this? We already have like a really great anime and a manga. Like, can you do this better, or is there going to be something you can do live action that you can't do?
Well, I feel like for me, so I feel like there could be a good live action Full Metal Alchemist. I just feel like they didn't do it. It didn't seem like they knew anything about Full Metal Alchemist to me.
Yeah.
Which is like mind blowing, because this is like one of the biggest animes of all time, and like I literally could not feel any heart or soul in that movie, and I was like,
which is astounding.
I mean, Clash of Titans is right there for us to think about.
I mean, if we were going to do Egyptian gods, it'd be right there with gods of Egypt.
Oh my god! Okay,
God.
Egyptian live actions are completely different.
That's gross.
Then we got to add whitewashing to the whole.
No, I distinctly remember seeing the trailer for Gods of Egypt and snickering, going like, "All those actors need sunscreen."
Oh my god!
That was
Every single fucking one of them.
Oh my gosh.
that was literally making everything shiny and not working out.
Yeah.
But it's just it is interesting though that in terms of like what we choose to adapt and what we choose to work with, like, was it really like, there's definitely an intention and choice in like Rachel Smith being like, I want to do something with the Greek gods and I want to like turn their petty dramas into celebrity drama, versus like, I'm sorry to bash on Clash of the Titans again, but it's like,
No,
what?
it's
just such an easy target.
Perseus does the thing and the Kraken comes out.
Oh my gosh!
Like, what are the intentions? And like, I would even say too, gosh, and I wish I had the interview at hand, but the folks at Supergiant, when they were first constructing a roguelike escape game from hell, from Hades, and I'm supposed to be paraphrasing, sorry, I don't have the evidence on me, but there's just something about like the concept of Hades isn't just the big daddy, he's also the place.
Oh,
Hades is hell, so there, like I said, the intentionality of, it's not just a scary devil demon man who oversees the dead. It is a place. It is a person. It is a concept that, you can play with. Mm-hmm. And that also has a very strong presence in the Greek canon. Sorry, the Greek legends, as a spot that heroes travel down to, and they do shenanigans, and they either escape or they turn around and lose their girlfriend forever.
Well, they turn around, lose their wife, get really sad, they get torn apart by I forgot what they were called, but yeah, the more fanatical followers of Dionysus, and then they die like that.
Oh, Orpheus.
Orpheus.
Just got his ass handed to him by an angry crowd.
Yeah, basically. They're like, hey, party with us. He's like, no, I'm sad. They're like, fuck you. And then he tore him apart.
Like, cool story, bro. I'm going to rip you in half.
About that part. Oh my god.
Well, that's one version.
I wrote like a flash fiction about like Eurydice waiting on the shores of the Styx and her being stuck there so long that she like forgets why she's there. And then Orpheus shows up and he's all mangled to shit.
Oh my god.
And he's like,
goodness.
He's like, can I sit with you? And she's like, oh, he seems familiar. Yeah, okay. And they just like chill there, like sitting on the River Styx for the rest of the time. I was like, this is nice. This, you just get the shit beat out of you. You get to sit with your girlfriend. It's fine.
That's the good ending.
That's the good ending. So, but yeah, I definitely like, as somebody who has clearly written adaptations of myth, I also wrote one of like Charon, the ferryman of the underworld, as like a non-binary taxi driver who works for Raz, who is the Hades, who is married to Stephanie, who is his trans wife. It's a fun story. Anyway, but sort of wanting, my goal with that was to create a story that like spoke a truth about choice and fate, which was like a big theme for the Greeks, but also to be more inclusive and to imagine these characters in a new way that because Persephone is always beautiful, pretty flower girl. It's like, okay, well, what if she were a trans woman who is living with a mother
she has
who
a cult?
doesn't... What?
Sorry, that's came out of left
Cult.
field.
She has a cult?
Yeah, she has a cult. She has a cult.
Good for you, cult lady. Everyone should have one. What? Nothing.
Yeah, she's really not the flower girl everyone thinks in some versions.
Yeah. But definitely as a writer, like wanting to help other people see themselves in a story, in a piece of media, in a character that may historically not have been for them or not have been written with them in mind, and using their story to tell a slightly different story. So instead of having Demeter wanting Persephone back just because she loves her, you know, in the story that I wrote, Stephanie's mother wants her back to present a certain image to the world and refuses to call her daughter by her name, instead dead names her and forces her to live as a man while she stays with the mom. And, you know, being able to sort of have those complicated feelings around, this is my mother and I love her, but she won't accept me. You know, so like, I think adaptation also should get points for like, what new thing is it bringing? What is it exploring that its original source material either didn't or couldn't? So that's another thing I think that's really important for adaptations.
Oh yeah, I think that's what Hadestown did well with. I think go for it, Elise.
Oh no, I was gonna say, I think the three that we have in S tier, with at least to the character itself, you know, it sounds like Hadestown is an amazing musical. Sorry, I haven't seen it. But as to the character itself, like the way they interpret and kind of examine the character or what they want to get from that character, it looks like that's what at least our S tier attempt to do or succeed in doing, and the ones that, you know.
I feel like the S tier ones, they are a good balance of like respecting the source material, but also being original, but also like becoming modern new characters. You know, they're very balanced. Some things may not be as accurate, but then like they have something that is to balance it out and make it make sense to either the character or the story itself.
Agreed. And it might also be accurate in quotation marks because we don't know.
Miss or
we don't know Eddie. We don't know.
How do you met a god?
But we vibe. We vibe with this
dog.
Like we vibe with, okay, like I'm gonna use Percy Jackson Hades. We vibe with his passion to be recognized because he's long since been in the shadows. We vibe with
Actually,
Webtoon
I
Hades,
vibe with him being a petty bitch.
like yes, and also being a petty bitch, but also Webtoon Hades loves dogs and he has trauma that he's working through. We vibe and we want to kind of see what he does. And,
there is a huge thing with him feeling like overshadowed by his like golden brother too. So
yeah.
And yeah, and I'm gonna also say one good thing about Big Dad, Big Dad Hades is that there is an evolving story, and you get that because it's partly narrative and partly also the game function that you keep replaying and trying to get farther and farther and farther, and you keep unlocking more of him, so he becomes less of that's the antagonist, that's just an imposing figure to, oh, you made mistakes. I'm going to fix them. You got to talk to mom now. Bye. So, you know, I think a lot of writers and I think a lot of artists now, getting to take something that has some pretty important bones, but that are still bare bones and just kind of like reassembling them in a very fun necromantic way is what makes them win over, is it a guy in a, what are those called? In you know, the like one fabric Greek robe that you just tie.
It's fine. Yeah, we know what you're saying.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, we don't really need him to have a bident. We don't need him to have, like, sandals and just kind of... We don't even need him to look a certain way, but we need to see what we do with him.
Okay. And we have been chatting for a while, so before we end this, I do want to ask then, with everything we discussed, what mythology would you guys like to see in a new adaptation?
Oh.
Doesn't have to be Greek. It can be anything.
I mean, we've also seen Greek and we've seen a lot of Norse. I'd be really interested to see somebody take on the Aztec mythology.
Yeah,
that's a really good choice.
Ooh.
They got a lot of stuff too.
Yeah. It's a lot of birds and snakes and big cats and blood sacrifices. There's a lot to be mined there. I will say, if you are looking for a kind of like a starter take on it, Sylvia Moreno Garcia has a great book called Gods of Jade and Shadow, which does delve somewhat into the mythos, but like I want to see like a Thor Ragnarok, like, you know, a Lore Olympus, but I want to see it for the Aztec pantheon, because that to me is one that, like, unless you were really looking for it as a kid, you didn't find it in your local library.
Right. Unfortunately, a lot of things you couldn't find myth-wise in the library. It'd be like 10 books on Greek mythology, 3 on Norse, 2 on Egyptian. That's it.
I guess I was just trying to think. There are so many mythologies.
There are
and I'm
so
just like,
many.
oh, no,
I
my
think
head is
I would,
spinning.
with Sarah's point of view, I would love to see Hindu mythology, I think. Because it's kind of the same thing with Lore Olympus, where like the colors, like they are already like canon-wise very colorful. So I think that would be very aesthetically pleasing to see. And also they have so much lore as well to go through.
I will say one sticking point of that, I think it is an actively practiced religion.
Yeah,
so
you would have to be careful.
Yeah, they would
taken
definitely
with
have to
that.
be like supervised intensely to make sure. I mean, well, Pixar did a version. They did a short.
Yeah, I was thinking about
which
that.
movie it
There was a
was,
short,
but
right?
Where
Yes,
like,
it was like the Indian, like the Hindu super team.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh
that
my
one.
gosh.
Yeah, you can do that respectfully, absolutely. And, you know, I will say, though, it's one of those things where it's like, I wonder if there's just media that's just not in English for that.
Oh,
like, and
There are a lot of cartoons. I'm pretty
somebody
sure
should translate it. Cough, cough, Disney. Cough, cough.
No, not Disney.
Anyone.
They're too greedy.
Sony.
I didn't
Sony.
say
I mean,
Someone.
I feel like
Apple TV.
I feel like it's the same.
Where you at, son?
Wait, can I say something
Of course.
controversial?
Oh, yes.
Ooh, hot take.
I'm gonna say maybe instead of trying to, you know, add plot to whole pantheons, which, you know, can sometimes lead to shenanigans and silliness, what if you guys just take one critter, one like cryptid or one like monster from mythos and work with that and like build a solid concept? You know, I think it gets messy when you like start looking at things like, oh wow, let's look at the sorry, I gotta use this as an example. Let's look at the Norse gods. Okay, let's go and we're gonna pick them apart to their very basic Power Ranger like personalities. Okay, that's great.
Power
What
Ranger.
if instead you were like gonna do something about, okay, we need to like find and gosh, this is gonna be very, very nerdy. We need to find the kitsune that escaped from the shrine boulder that we sealed her in and put her back.
Wait, are you talking
You
about
know, like
Norse gods still, or a
you know,
separate
like-
thing? No.
I think she's referring to the Sesshouseki in Japan.
Oh,
yeah,
so not
that was
not
the,
Norse gods.
Yeah, not a Norse god. I'm saying like instead of like looking at a pantheon and being like we can do a drama with all of these guys, I would say why don't we start smaller scale when we
I
start
see.
trying to
But
like
it's so hard to
do
like.
things.
I think the reason
Honestly,
why
it's-
Sarah and I chose a group is because it's easy. It's easier.
Yeah.
Versus like one specific scene.
I will argue, if someone making a movie about Medusa, as she is, you know, her in her
I
fullest
feel like
form in
she's-
Greek mythology would be amazing.
Well, she's another.
Yeah,
Because
you have
there's
like a
a
whole
lot that
backstory.
goes
Like a
Yeah.
Joker
Yeah.
movie, but
Yeah,
for
you have a
Medusa.
lot.
I feel like Tumblr has done
Actually-
that enough already.
If you did like something for Circe, remember
Cersei?
Cersei. Just do one thing for Cersei.
Mm,
Just
Wait.
I
focus
still haven't
on.
read
Is
that
there an
book.
adaptation of Medusa I do not know about?
No, there's just a
No,
lot of
no, just
headcanons
a
on Tumblr
hypothetical.
that, yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was like, oh man, because I, you know,
You're
I,
like, where's the Medusa media?
I mean, it
want
was
it.
like, you know, comparing it to like the more successful villain backstory sort of original take movie, right? Joker.
I mean, she's very.
Oh
tragic.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I was saying. No,
absolutely.
oh, yeah. I would argue she's almost not a villain. She's just like, leave me alone. I'm
I
just
literally
chilling
was
here.
raped in a temple. It wasn't even my fault. And Goddess is like, you know what?
Let's make it worse.
Fuck you. snake hair.
Yeah. So a nicer myth to add, or it could be a mean one. We could be evil.
I mean, I feel that there's a lot of unexplored like myths and creatures even within the Greek and Norse mythology that people rarely hear about.
Agreed.
So
yeah, I don't really have one that
We just talked
that
about
I feel
Medusa.
like very strongly about yet. I don't think.
Well, that's why in my story I wrote about Charon, because I was like, you never hear about
I
Charon.
do feel like Chiron is a good one because it's also like the
I will
idea
say-
of like being on a boat. And
Yeah.
I'm on a
So you
boat.
can fight Charon and Hades, and if you're not ready, he will kick your ass so hard.
I love Charon and Hades because of that. Because he's like, I'm fine. I'm usually fine. It's just Zagreus. No, you crossed a line, and I'm gonna have to fight you now.
Crossing the line is stealing his money.
Yeah, well, like Zagreus, why'd you do that?
Zag, that's not my money anyway. It's the money for the people who are trying to get down the river. You can't steal it from me.
I took it fair and square.
It's my fucking money.
although I will say,
That's literally it.
Angeli, about
Yeah,
what
Angela?
you were saying, I feel like that's like taking a scene and just like going with it. I feel like that's what anime does.
Actually, you're right.
Right? Like there are so many.
Have you heard of anime?
It's just like, what if we have these gods and like even okay, Noragami is kind of a pantheon, but I'm trying to think of like
I don't know. I feel
the
I
Kappa,
feel
no,
the
that's
Kappa
really
one,
trending in Hollywood.
the modern Kappa one.
adaptations do that. Not so much anime.
I mean-
the problem with Hollywood. The problem with Hollywood is I think they look at the entire pantheon and they're like, okay, we got a Hera.
Well, maybe
Great.
not so much
We got a
pantheon, but like
Hades?
any
Great.
work that
That's
they
true.
adapt, they usually take very surface level content and try to like build it badly. I don't know.
I'm desperately
I
trying to think
agree.
of anime.
I
now.
assume Hollywood isn't purposely making it bad because of the
Oh,
amount
yeah.
of money they waste
No.
making these films. But there's definitely a
It's an issue.
cutting corners happening. But yeah, Osiki, what's the Kappa one? Where there's three,
my favorite.
Oh, Sara's
my favorite
Sara's
show.
where like they do take the nuance, the like Kappa personalities with the whole oh my gosh, what is the power that they're trying to get from the humans' butts?
The Shiri
Shiriko Dama, Shiriko Dama.
The butt thing.
yeah, it's in the butt.
It's in the
butt
butt.
soul.
It's your desires. It's your desires.
It's your desire.
It's your
It
desires.
lives in your butt.
But then
It
it's
lives in your
like
butt.
they're also, are they superheroes? I forget. I'm gonna look that up.
It's an Ikuhara anime. There's a lot
Not
going
quite
on.
superheroes, but they have a thing to do, and it's helping people.
Because they're
in a
humans
way.
who become Kappa,
But they're
or
not
they're
like-
the Kappas?
They become couple.
Okay.
Yeah, they become kappas just for the purpose of
And
extracting.
there's like two policemen, and they're like weasels.
They're also kappas though.
Are they couples?
I think they're also
like
kappas.
a different
Surprise!
demon.
Yeah.
No, they're
Everybody's a
they're
Kappa.
kappas. No, they're otters. The otters.
They're
are
otters.
evil.
Okay. Otters are evil.
I like to imagine someone has come in on this conversation being like, oh, it's about Hades, and just is like, oh, I'll just fast forward. And then they just like, yes, they steal things out of the butts and they become coffins. And you're like,
No,
so
but
confused.
they become
I
couples
mean-
to steal things out of people's butts.
Yes, that's why you can only extract them when you're
There's
a
a
kappa.
sequence to it.
You need to turn into the kappa to then extract the thing from the butt.
I feel like anime might do that more with fairy tales.
Yeah, probably.
Yes.
I mean, I do enjoy the Ancient Magnus Bride, but I also feel like Ancient Magnus Bride also kind of handpicks things from the Seelie and Unseelie court as
Yeah.
they want to, even though they're based in England. Cough.
They're based in England, quote
They're
unquote.
based in England, but then they're like, oh yeah, look at all these Irish like fairy creatures that are everywhere. And I'm like, huh.
Well, it's
Maybe
like,
actually they play with more like the Judeo-Christian stuff.
I feel like
That's
anime,
also
Oh yeah, like
interesting.
angels.
Yeah. Well, that
Oh,
actually
but
brings up a really interesting point where, like, Japan will take concepts of Christianity, like angels and God, and, like, there's a whole literal series where Jesus and Buddha just hang out, just for shits and giggles.
Oh, I love that. That's such a good.
Which, yeah,
So
which
good.
is great, and, you know, totally fine, because, again, like, cultural appropriation is okay when it is a traditionally oppressed, in a global sense, community taking on the iconography and concepts of the oppressor, which, I mean, you can argue with Japan one way or the other, but it's interesting to see.
Depends on who is doing what.
It depends on the context, but mostly I think we can say that, like, Christianity has sort of oppressed the world and can get knocked down a peg a wee bit by having a story where Jesus and Buddha hang out and do very
also.
Meanwhile,
This is
Saint
where I
Seiya.
insert
I
my
think this has
propaganda
to do
where
with-
canon Jesus is so much better than fanon Jesus.
yeah.
Anyways.
I
mean,
think this
also
has to do with intent versus ignorance, though. Like, the intent of that show is clearly to be a fun, not serious adaptation, versus, like, if they were trying to be serious about this, like, what if Buddha and Jesus were roommates, then it would not have worked out at all, I feel.
Yeah. It definitely would have, like, taken away some of the gravitas of, like, why it works so well. Like, why it's so funny to have these two figures running around.
Right. I thought you were going to talk about, like, there's a lot of anime that have Christianity in it, but it's
Well, like
so
Eva.
clear that the creators have no idea what Christianity is, which is Eva, Evangelion, where they're just like, hey, these things look cool.
Yeah, I'm just gonna, like, take this angel and use this name, but not really think about any of the implications.
The
Or, like,
actual-
I'm
yeah.
just gonna put the Tree of Sephiroth from fucking Judaism up, and you're like,
Uh,
that has a specific meaning? Like, what are you doing?
I am just having flashbacks of Angel Sanctuary right now.
I'm just thinking about Saint Seiya the whole time.
Oh
Like,
my
gosh. We are going in so many different
we are,
directions.
yeah. I feel like
Saint Seiya's wild.
anime is a whole nother set of rules that we can discuss another day. But let's wrap this up because we have been chatting for a while. This has been a very interesting discussion to see. I kind of had a feeling, because the shows that we are talking about are such big hits, that they would have been upper tier anyways. But it's definitely interesting to actually sit down and discuss the differences out of all of them and what we think about them and mythology and media as a whole. And yeah, that's really the whole point of today's video. Do you guys have anything you'd like to say before we end the day?
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, definitely.
Hero is definitely an S tier. Just saying. I do not rescind my comment from the beginning of this episode. Kiro is S tier. He eats their cake.
All right. I'll put him there.
Yes!
One comment I actually do want to say is
Just put all the dogs
I
in
put-
there.
I
All
put
dogs just
go to
live-
heaven.
We gotta knock everyone
some
down.
of these are not even dogs.
I do want to say, actually, this is the Cerberus from Persona, the video game series. And this is actually a but an accurate depiction of Cerberus in some versions. There are some versions where Cerberus is just a one-headed dog. I wish I had a bigger picture, but, like, this one doesn't really look like a dog. But he also is supposed to have snake-like features, which as you can see with
so
this
like a
tail.
chimera.
Yes,
Kind of
because
chimera-ish.
Cerberus is not a dog. They are a monster. So I really do appreciate that they went out of the box and did this version of Cerberus instead of the usual three-headed doggos.
Doggo.
Oh, the doggos.
Doggo enough.
I mean, we still love that
All
Caraveros
dogs
just means
go to heaven.
spotted.
It
So,
does not.
you know,
It actually does
he
not.
named his dog Spot. He named his dog Spot. And if that doesn't tell you a lot about Hades, who knows?
It actually does not mean spot. It is still
It doesn't.
ambiguous. Yeah.
Oh, I love that myth,
I
though.
know.
no.
Caraveros.
That would have been really cute.
Caraveros. It's
Yes.
okay. It can be a myth in my mind.
But
Your
that's
own
it for
pantheon.
today. As just one more reminder, gosh, I really hope this recorded. And whoever is still here, we are funding for season 3 of my mythology podcast, Residents of Persephone Park. Please check it out on Indiegogo. Just just search Residents of Persephone Park. And that is it for today. Just a reminder, this is Angela, Angeli, Elise, Germ, and Sarah. And yeah, let's do this again. And I don't know, anime, other myths. There's a lot we can discuss.
We should do it for
I
we
actually
should
want
do
to
it
do
for Mulan. That'd be
I
pretty
was gonna
funny.
say King Arthur's myths.
Oh, I was gonna
Legend.
say
King Arthur.
Because it sits in that line between like paganism and Christianity, and it's just absolutely fascinating.
Oh, true.
Especially the adaptations of him.
Oh, so fun.
I was also gonna say, Angela, I forget the actual company's name, but the Irish animated films.
Oh,
Cartoon Saloon.
Cartoon Saloon, thank you. They also, I would love to like talk about a couple animated films as well.
Yes. Always here talking
Yes.
about animated films, comics, and, video games. So
All right, I'm gonna go see if it's actually saved. Have a good night, y'all. We will see you next time. Bye.